when you go into that marathon mode, that ultra mode, you train your brain to say, don't listen when your body tells you to stop.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to get to that point because your body's going to tell you, don't do this. This isn't comfortable. You should stop running right now. But you need to like not listen to that voice and power through. But with diabetes, there's going to be times that voice is like, no, Adam, your sensor's not working. You don't have any test strips on you. Like, you don't know your blood sugar. Like, this is really dangerous. You need to listen now. You know what I mean? So, like, it's this fascinating contrast of know when to listen and know when to not.
Welcome to the T1 Determined podcast, where we bridge the conversation of type 1 diabetes and endurance. I'm Joseph Anthony Marcello, an endurance athlete and a mountaineer. As someone living with T1D, I'm on a mission to uncover and share science-backed information that drives optimal performance and longevity. And as a storyteller, I'm here to explore and share incredible feats in T1D sports physiology. Let's tackle this together. Today, I sit down with T1D ultra athlete Adam Redling, husband, father of 3, engineer, and an ultra endurance athlete who completely owns his type 1 diagnosis. Diagnosed at age 40 mid-training, Adam dropped the excuses and attacked the trails. 7 ultra marathons later, he's here to deliver the raw blueprint on discipline, habits, and relentless performance. What Adam has accomplished is not just successful races, but sparking a movement. As we build this podcast from the ground up, your support is crucial for our continued growth. Wherever you're listening, please share this episode and others with anyone you think might benefit. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X at T1D_endurance, and on Facebook and YouTube at T1 Determined, and visit our website, t1determined.net. Please also like and subscribe, and you can leave up to a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Before we dive in, the topics discussed and the recommendations shared by myself and our guests are personal experiences and not medical prescriptions. Always consult your healthcare team and medical professionals before making any changes to your daily routines, management, or therapies. And now, my conversation with T1D ultra athlete Adam Redling. Adam, thank you very much for joining me today on the T1 Determined podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Very excited to get into this conversation. There's so much uniqueness about your story, but at the same time, I think it can be very relatable to people, especially since, I'm personally hearing and I'm meeting a lot of individuals who are getting diagnosed with type 1 later in life. By later, I mean past the age of 30. When you originally think about something like type 1 diabetes, you think of pediatric type 1, and it's more prevalent now that people are getting diagnosed late into adolescence, and young adulthood, and now well off into adulthood. I've recently met someone who was diagnosed at the age of 62, which to me is kind of crazy. You live your whole life up to 62, and then you get a condition like this. So let's start off with who you are. If you want to go into a little bit of your life before type 1 diabetes, before this interesting condition even got thrown at you. And let's start off with a simple introduction.
Sure. So I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a brother, I'm a son. Like I'm a typical middle-aged East Coast guy, I feel like.
Yeah.
I've been in Pennsylvania my whole life. So I'm a PA guy through and through. And spent a lot of time camping when I was a kid in the woods of Pennsylvania, and really have always just loved PA as a state, and haven't left, and moved from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh to go to college.
One side or the other.
Yep, I know, a state divided. At least we don't have to have the Eagles-Steelers conversation here since you're a Pats fan.
Well, I don't know. Both teams don't have good reputations with the Patriots.
That is correct. But so I went to Pitt for mechanical engineering. So I'm an engineer like through and through. I've always kind of taken stuff apart, broken computers, fixed computers in my basement growing up, and have always loved tinkering with stuff. And stayed in Pennsylvania my whole life, stayed in Pittsburgh. I'm still here. Love the city of Pittsburgh. It's been a wonderful place to live for 25 years now. And it's really treated me well, and given me some great opportunities to have incredible friendships, incredible relationships with other people that I've met here, that are all really just genuine, wonderful people. And I think that's a narrative that has helped me cope with diabetes, is having support. And
Yeah.
so I'll point that out, is that I have a lot of really close friends in Pittsburgh that are both diabetic and not diabetic, and they're able to really support me when I need the help. Um, so, just to talk through it, like, my story of type 1 is typical but unique in its own little facets, I feel like. My family doesn't have any real autoimmune
Yeah.
disease in the genes at all.
But
My
not
dad has
even
a
one side that you can kind of trace it back to.
It's tough. My dad has something known as transverse myelitis, which is a pretty uncommon neurological, and I had to write this down because I couldn't remember exactly what it was, because he got it when he was in his 40s as well. But it's like an infection in your spinal column that
Yeah.
affects the myelin sheath, which then causes nerve damage and impacts, like, your extremities, like your hands and your feet, lose sensation, and so
Interesting.
you don't get around as well.
Yeah.
Um, my dad's fortunate to be in, like, the better percentage of people affected by transverse
Yeah.
myelitis. It
That's
can be
good.
really debilitating for some people. That's not to say it
And
doesn't
there's
affect me at
no
all,
and you
but
said there's no link between that condition and the autoimmune system?
they don't know it well enough to
Okay.
really
Yeah.
tap
That
that.
seems
There's suspicions that the infection could be related in autoimmune, but it's not really well understood, and I think it's more of a suspicion that you could have an autoimmune response to it.
yeah. Yeah.
That's the
I
only
mean,
thing
so
that I
even
can
if it's
tie
not
back.
that means it's not definitive. So it's like no matter what, at the end of the day, there's no definitive side of where the type 1 could have came from.
Correct. No, not at all. Um, but I had some weird stuff, and I wrote down my chronological, history here, because I, I've often wondered it. I had some weird stuff go on with my body starting in 2019, where when I was running in the woods, I, like many people, read Born to Run, if you've ever read that book. That was
Yep.
like an inspirational book about barefoot runners and, the history of running, and that was inspiring, but I was also one of the weirdos that wore five-finger, foot shoes for a while. I don't wear them anymore, right? But I wore them, and I had a cut between my toes when I was wearing those shoes, which developed into, like, a gnarly infection. So this would have been 4 years before diagnosis. So I was
Okay.
diagnosed in July of 2023, and in the summer of 2019, I had, like, a crazy foot infection that
Yep.
almost took my toe. Um, like, almost took
Wow.
a couple toes off my foot. Like, it was insane. Um, so that happened in 2019. Then I got a tick bite that sent my white blood cell count, like, out of whack, and I ended up in the hospital in 2021. So I had, like, some weird things that put me in the hospital when I was always a pretty healthy individual, when it came to that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
At the same time, the following year, right? So this is post COVID, right? August 2021. Um, we decided to do a crazy house renovation on our project, or a project on our house.
Yeah.
We took the entire roof off of our home, and we added a third story to the house.
Insane amount of stress.
Insane, right? And this is happening at the same time as we have 3 kids. So I have 3 girls,
Yep.
that were, you know, a lot younger than they are now and demanded a lot more attention.
Were you living at the house during it, or did you have to stay somewhere else?
We moved out. We were really
Yeah.
fortunate.
Okay.
We found a rental that was, like, in the neighborhood, a walkable couple blocks away from where we live now.
And that's what
And
moved
so
to
we were
life.
really fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine
Um,
it's still extremely stressful. I mean, as I'm
oh,
renovating my own house now, it's madness.
yeah. It was crazy. The at one point, we didn't have a roof on the front third of the house, and we got, like, 2 inches of rain. over the course of like 30 minutes, and all the tarps failed that were like protecting the house, and like it was like nightmare type scenario.
Yo,
Um, and
it's
so it
like
was
the
a
bad
very
stuff you see on HGTV, the real the real
it
drama.
was yeah, it
And
was
getting back
very
to it, anything that we could think of as a possible stress trigger, at least, or on the realm of things of stuff that could start initiating
mhm,
the gene to cause type 1.
yep. So I feel like COVID, like I got COVID, I got this tick bite, I had cellulitis that led to the infection, and then I had
Mm.
this huge, mega stressful situation on top of like, I took on a new job or a new role at my current job, which had more responsibility. So like I was under a tremendous amount of stress at the same time. So then we finally moved back into the house in May of 2023. I decide I'm 40. I want to run
Yeah,
like a marathon. I want to do this.
yeah. You just
I
said so
register.
through that decision just a little bit, double click on the decision. So you've been a runner at this point for a couple of years. I mean, you read Born to Run.
Yeah.
You tried running
Yeah.
without shoes until until you got a massive and almost lost your
Yep.
toe. So it wasn't like out of the blue, but was a marathon something that you've always wanted to do?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Always. I ran. So I blew out my back in my 20s and herniated a disc, and kind of fell in love with running as a recovery method for that.
Yeah.
And so like a year after herniating a disc, in like I was probably 25, 26 when that happened. I was running my first 5K like a year later. And then I started running a lot of road halves
Yeah.
um, after that, and really enjoyed that distance. Um, Started running in the trails with some friends in my late 20s, early 30s, and really just that was church for me. It was just
Yeah.
spectacular. I mean, it's just an incredible experience to be in the trails and running in the woods and losing yourself, for a couple of hours. Just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That
and
zone,
so
I totally agree with the zone, especially trail running, the zone you hit when you're just like you realize that you didn't even know you just ran like a half mile. I always get in that mode where I'm like so locked into the trail and jumping around roots and everything that something hits me again and I just like come to a realization of like, oh, where did those last 5 to 10 minutes go?
yeah,
And then it happens again
it's-
and again.
so
Nothing
I
else in the world.
really, yeah, and I really fell in love with trail running through that. And so I had always had a marathon on my radar, but
Mhm.
kids and career and a house renovation and all that. Finally, we moved back into the house, and I'm like, all right, this is the year. Like, I'm 40 now. That's this nice whole number that
Yeah.
I feel like I want to accomplish this by. So, May of 2023, I register for 50K as my first marathon distance. So I hurdle right over a road marathon and go right to a 50K trail run in Pennsylvania.
Bold. Bold.
Yeah, I know. And I look back at that like that was like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
But it for some reason I didn't have any
Well,
fear or
I think it
hesitation.
also goes to the fact that, I mean, at least the ones that I know and I'm aware of, 50Ks are more on the side of trail running as opposed to marathons are more on the side of road
Yep.
races.
And I couldn't find a road race that fall that was accessible for me. And I found the trail 50K and I was like, why not? I'll just do
Yeah.
this instead. So so I ran the all right. So I signed up for Oil Creek. That's what the race is, Oil Creek 50K, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours northeast of Pittsburgh in Oil Creek State Park. Um, which is an awesome course, just a wonderfully supported community event, which helped and made it really a great experience.
Mhm.
So I started training for that I was probably already training by the time I actually signed up for it in May. So I started really running more aggressively in April
Yeah.
of 2023. Went on a family trip to Italy in June of 2023. So register for the race in May.
Yeah.
I'm like mid training cycle.
Yeah. And at
Lost
this
some weight,
point, how old are you? Just
40.
40. Okay. So you're exactly 40
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. Lost some weight, like, as I'm training and running 20 miles a week. Okay, expected, right?
Yep.
Like, that's par for the course is what I would expect. We go to Italy on, like, a huge family vacation for 2 weeks. I eat, in hindsight, like, nothing but pasta, drink wine, eat gelato, eat croissants, pastries, like, pizza, like, it's literally just carbohydrates for
As
2
someone
weeks.
who is Italian American, the Italian food is not safe for for type 1.
It's so hard, I
So you
know.
know enough about the carbs and how to correctly
Yeah.
bolus for yourself.
Yeah. So we go to Italy. I think I ran one day when we were in Italy. I ran in Venice when we were there. I felt so tired in Italy, but I attribute it to jet lag or I don't even know.
Mhm.
But gutted through the vacation, had a wonderful time in Italy, but like noticed that my vision was starting to get blurry when we were there, especially when I would like be looking at my phone and then would look up and try to focus on something across the room. It would get pretty blurry. And I've never had corrected vision. I've always had perfect vision, which I'm fortunate to have still at
Mm.
44 or 43. Um, Mentioned it to my sister there, and she's like, "Your vision shouldn't change rapidly. Like, that's suspicious. You should probably get that checked out when you get home." Started peeing a lot, started being really thirsty in Italy. I remember when we were in Rome, I was up like once an hour, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Got got back from this wonderful 2-week vacation, jump on the scale, down 5 more pounds. I was like, "Hmm, that's weird. Why would I lose weight when all I was doing was eating all week and not working out?"
Mhm.
But, like, you normalize it, which I
Yeah.
think a lot of people have done in their stories. You
Yep.
normalize it
It's like
and you
all these
say
signs, it truly is hindsight's 20/20. You don't know their signs until you're looking back at it.
right. And and so, like, I normalized it like, "Oh, maybe the food was, better portions and we were walking everywhere and this and that." So, I go to Houston for work. I'm in Houston for a week. I don't do anything in Houston. All I do is eat barbecue. I come back from Houston. I lost 5 more pounds. That's when I'm like, okay, this is really peculiar. I remember it pretty vividly. We went to a Pirates game in Pittsburgh. I
Mhm.
fell asleep during the game in the middle of the day, like it was a day game. I fell asleep. I was so thirsty. I remember I drank 3 64-ounce Cokes because I was so thirsty. Like, I don't know how
I
I
wanna
didn't
do
end up
the
in the
math on how many carbs that is. That's at least well into
Yeah,
the hundreds.
yeah, I don't know how I didn't end up in the hospital on some of those
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Um, and I was really I think in a lot of respects, and this is going a little bit back, but, like, I think I was presenting signs of diabetes for probably a year leading up to the actual diagnosis.
Yeah.
I felt like I had
You have to
really
think about something like something triggers it, and then you really don't know what's happening to you until it gets bad. And that's what ketoacidosis is. I mean,
Yeah,
over time, and especially in active people, if this is happening to you, just being active can naturally bring your blood sugar back down, and you don't
that's right.
know that it's rising. You don't know that you've
Yeah,
lost control of the fluctuations.
it's exactly right, and I can remember I'd come home from work and I would be in, like, a lousy mood,
Yeah.
probably because my blood sugar was sky high, and my wife would be like, "Go take a run in the woods, like, go give yourself a break." And I would, and then I'd come back and I'd feel great, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And that was just natural control of my blood sugar, and I ate well anyway, so I wasn't eating, like, crazy carb-heavy meals, but I wasn't doing myself any favors either. Um, so, like, looking back at it, I think I was presenting symptoms for a while, but I was at this Pirates game with my sister-in-law who's a nurse, and I was telling her what was going on, and she was like, "I got bad news for you, man, like, you've got diabetes, like, you're presenting perfectly for a diabetic." And I happened to have, like, a well visit scheduled with my doctor that Thursday,
Yeah.
um, and so I went in for the well visit, I peed on a, ketone strip, and I turned it black, um, which, yeah, I was probably on my way. What's wild is that they didn't finger prick me. Like, they didn't
Yeah.
check my blood sugar right on the spot. They took full blood work and sent it away for labs.
So they let you go
Yeah,
without
I
you
went
even
home.
know your blood
Yeah,
sugar.
yep, I went home. And the nurse said or the doctor said, I think she said, "If you start throwing up, go to the ER."
I mean, in theory, you could have just gone to sleep that night and not woken up. You go
Yeah,
right into a
and
coma.
yeah,
If
I
you
know,
turn a
and
ketone
it's
to flak, that's clearly not I mean, that's
I
insane
know,
to me.
and it's insane, and so I got a call from and when I told so my one sister's a nurse or
Yeah,
sister-in-law's a nurse, the other sister-in-law's a doctor, and I was texting them about it, and they were checking in on me, like, once an hour
yeah,
because they knew the severity of it, and, like, looking back at it, I shoulda just gone to the hospital, but I
yeah.
didn't and, like, this is what I've told other people, like, I didn't feel like I was dying. I
Yeah,
felt
you
foggy.
don't know until yeah, until it's I mean, to put it in perspective, I researched all of my symptoms on the internet, went to the doctors, and I had a physical the week before, and the doctor looked at me and said, "Great job, you're losing weight," and I was
Yeah,
no position to lose weight, and they weren't gonna check my blood sugar, and I almost forced them to because the early version of Google search that's now Gemini search told me is like, "You got type 1 diabetes." It came up in the bullet
wow,
points, and I was like, "The internet has told me to take a blood sugar," and it wasn't and I had to advocate for it. So you
yeah,
like, as somebody who didn't push because you just don't know,
yeah,
and when they took my blood sugar, they said, "Go to the hospital," and I think I was in the hospital for 3 days, 3.5 days.
wow,
Yeah. So just
crazy.
I mean, just to monitor you
Yeah,
in a hospital setting is crucial. So it's
I know,
crazy
and
that
to
you weren't
bring you back to baseline in a controlled fashion, right?
Yeah.
While
Yep.
monitoring your blood sugar can so, I look, I didn't die, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I it could have been a different story, you know? So, I got a call the next morning from my doctor at 7 a.m. as soon as she saw the blood work come in, and she said, "You're either going to the hospital, or I have an appointment with an endo with you this morning." And so, I had a virtual visit with an endocrinologist that morning. And virtually, I learned how
Yeah.
to inject insulin, into my system, believe it or not, virtually.
You know, as crazy as that is, and to me, like, as much as I wouldn't want to be in that position, you could also flip that around to show how much a testament it is for access within this country, but beyond it across the world of how you can give access to healthcare and
Yeah,
medicine for those who are more difficult for them to be diagnosed with a condition like this.
that's a great point. I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point. So I jumped right into diagnosis, and as an
Mhm.
engineer, I was like, "All right, give me all the information I can get on it. Give me all
Yeah,
the books. Find all the, groups I can learn from on Facebook and everywhere else and on the internet." Um
and a whole slew of new tools that you can tinker with.
Yep, and data, right? I wasn't on a CGM to start, but I started on shots for probably 2 months I was on pens. I found that having Lantus in my system made running just very, very difficult.
Mhm.
Um, and so I quickly transitioned to an Omnipod pump. Probably I was diagnosed in July, early July. I wanna say I was on a pump by September.
Okay, very quick.
And then I ran Oil Creek on October 10th. So 3 months
Okay.
after diagnosis, I
So
ran.
you got diagnosed 3 months before
Yep.
your
Yeah,
50K.
July
Yeah.
7th of 2023, and I ran October 10th, 2023, the 50K. Yep.
Now, walk me through the lead up before we get into the 50K, the
Yeah.
lead up to it of kind of were you approaching anybody by anybody, I mean, obviously, you may have been talking to your family, but were you approaching any professionals about saying, "Hey, I've signed up for this. I've been training for this. I think I can do this." Was there any I mean, there clearly was a lack of cautious with your diagnosis in general. So at any point, was anybody like, "Hey, you might wanna rethink running this amount of, like,
Mhm. I didn't
distance?"
even check with anybody. I didn't even check. I didn't approach it. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I didn't understand what a low really is for somebody. I
Yeah.
think I wasn't really fearful of it. I think I just went for it.
Almost as
Um,
ignorance is bliss at this point.
a little bit, yeah, because it was just the first 3 months. But so I will say that, I mentioned this at the beginning, the community aspect of diabetes. Um, I found an adult camp that was run out of West Virginia the week after diagnosis. And so I went to diabetes camp in August
Yeah.
of 2023, so a month after my
Really? Yeah,
diagnosis.
yeah.
It was hilarious, man. Like, we go around the campfire and, like, the icebreaker is, like, "How long have you had diabetes? What's your favorite low snack?"
Yep,
And tell us something about you that's funny or something, whatever. And,
yep.
like, we get around to me and I'm like, "I've had diabetes for, 32 days." And, like, it's like a record needle scratching and, like,
Yeah.
everybody turns like, "What? Like,
It's like,
you've
how'd you
had it."
find this out so quickly? I mean, like, it took me years to find out there was a diabetes community.
Yeah. So, I was really fortunate to find that. It was all adults with type 1. It's called Camp No Coma is the kids camp.
Yeah,
And this is organized through a group of people that are called, WVT1D
okay.
is how you'd be able to find them.
Yeah,
Um, and they've organized this camp. The year I went was the first year it was offered, and it's to support adult education in diabetes. And it's funded by a family who lost their son as a result of uncontrolled adult diabetes.
yeah.
And so the spirit of it is that they want to fund this to provide, you know, uh, awareness and community support for other people like Tim.
No,
And
it is I mean, it is a thing because, I mean, and the mission is similar to what we're doing at Project Insulnation that our audience knows about, and I'm glad that you bring up because we need more adult-focused type 1 diabetes, either community or education in general. Because not to and it is extremely important to have pediatric type 1 camps, pediatric type 1 seminars, and even presentations during schools. That is absolutely crucial, but we have found and it's turning around, there seems to be a trend of it going in the right direction, but previously there seemed to be a halt once you reached a certain age with type 1 diabetes. And it may be the fact that more people at older ages in their adults are getting diagnosed, or more type 1s are now living so I don't want to call it optimized, but we have more tools and now we're into adulthood that this stuff people are realizing that it needs to continue because there was a lack of help. Let's just call it help of type 1 with type 1 diabetes and adulthood.
yeah, it's almost like, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting dilemma. Like, what is
Mhm.
causing that, and was it always there? Was that gap always there, or is that gap formed over time?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Um,
I think at the end of the day, it's a mix of both of, like, what could be causing more, or we're just getting better at diagnosing this kinda stuff, and the
mm,
technology and medicine's getting better, but still now the need for focus because, I mean, you're 40 years old and you got a whole new life condition. Even at
yeah,
21 years old, it wasn't like I was going to summer camp after being diagnosed. It's a very when you're this old, it's very isolating, almost, especially when you're a fully developed adult, and then all of a sudden, it's just like your whole world flips on its head,
yeah,
and then
that's
you
right. Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
nobody you can reach out to about it.
Yeah, that's right. And that was so instrumental for me to be more comfortable to have a conversation with other people with diabetes, to
Yeah.
get to that camp at such an early diagnosis. I'm very fortunate to have found it. So at that camp, I met somebody who was another ultra runner by chance,
Mhm.
who was living a really alternative lifestyle, right? He's like the guy that lives in the van, right?
Yeah.
Effectively. And
Yeah.
that's really simplifying it. Mike wouldn't appreciate that. But, like, he's got, I mean, he did, so Mike was inspirational to me though, because he did the Appalachian Trail, he did the Continental Divide Trail, and he did the Pacific Crest Trail
Triple Crown.
1 year, 2 year, 3 years, back to back to back,
Wow.
right? And he's
Oh,
yo-yoed, and I think that he's yo-yoed the Pacific Crest Trail now as well. So, like, back and forth, right? And so he was really like, "You can do this. You can run with this. You can hike for days with this. Like, don't be scared." And I was like, I keep going low. Like, what do I do with that?" And he was like, "I take a 1 starburst every 10 minutes or whatever," right? Like, his fuel was starbursts on the
yeah,
trail,
yeah.
right? And so, like, he was like, I can remember, like, at the camp, he was like, "Let's just go do 5 really quick." And I was like, "I'm not ready for that yet, but, like, I'll get there," right? But he was really encouraging to me and really set that same tone of, like, "Don't be scared of what comes. Figure out what works for you, and you'll do it."
Mhm,
Um
mhm.
And so that's what I did. That's what that post camp was like, "All right, I'm still running this thing. I'm not gonna let it dictate what I do and don't do." And I just started experimenting with going on runs, fueling, and figuring out, how much insulin on board is too much for me, and what do I do to fuel? Um, and that allowed me to run Oil Creek without problem at all.
I mean, I think that's a very commendable, pivotal moment that I think as type ones we should search for. And it's something that, like, if you find that motivation, use it. Use that as a tool to then learn about your condition, which I'm sure you learned a lot about the condition during the Oil Creek race. So let's dive into that now. Running the 50K, and I mean, we can get into details because 'cause you're probably in the honeymoon phase at the same time, so running now, and we'll talk about your running routines now and what you've done since your first 50K. So your type 1 management is probably different than it is now, but walk me through how that amount of mileage and trail, because trail is a lot different. It's up and down,
Mhm.
it's route, it's thin, the terrain, elevation gain is totally different. How did that fare with the Omnipod and then with your early knowledge of fueling?
So I was definitely honeymooning. Like I absolutely was. There's no question about it. I was able to just put. I remember I put the Omnipod into exercise mode for the
Yeah,
run, and that's what I had been doing. But then I noticed that at a certain point on those longer runs for training, I would start going low even in exercise mode because it would still be giving you some basal, even if you weren't within like the range where it was giving you corrections.
yeah,
Um, And so that would cause me to go low, and so I started turning my pump off completely after around 3 hours of working out.
yeah,
And so I shut the pump off for the second half of the race and stopped taking insulin completely. But I was still taking in I wasn't calculating carbs back then, like, per hour, but I was
yeah.
probably taking in 50 carbs an hour for that race, I would say,
Okay.
50 to 70, something like
Yeah,
that.
which is
Um,
decent. And so, how many hours? I'm trying to calculate. How many hours did you complete it in?
7.
Okay.
That 7.5 is
Yeah.
was my final time on that.
And so,
Um
I mean, people talk about when they turn off their pumps, you run the risk of ketones rising.
Mhm.
Number one, though, at that point in time, you were in a honeymoon phase, so your pancreas still releasing a little bit of insulin. And two, depending on the insulin that you have, you said your basal rate. In that case, insulin was pumping into you up until the 3 hour mark. So then, whatever was in you at that time still had the life
Mhm.
left
That's
of that
right.
insulin, which
Yeah,
could
that's right.
range anywhere between 2.5 to 5 hours, depending on
Yeah.
the type of insulin.
Yeah, so I don't think I was ever at that risk, but I was
Yeah,
completely blind to it. I've
yeah,
only recently learned about that as a risk. Um, but that was my strategy for fueling. It was a lot of liquid carbs mixed with solid foods, and then also eating gels or not gels, sorry, blocks. I don't
okay.
like
Yeah,
gels.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do I do
The gels, the blocks, I have some with me now.
Yeah,
Stick
yep,
with
same exact ones. I do the Cliff Blocks, they're fantastic. So I was doing Tailwind, Cliff
yeah,
Blocks, and then solid food. Um, and I have, like, within my running group now that I run with, like, everybody is everybody's always commenting that like I have this incredible iron stomach because I can take like because I've trained every one of my races with food because I have
Yeah.
to.
Was that something that you did before, or was it a transition once you got diagnosed?
No, I always ate food on my
Okay.
runs. I learned
Alright.
I learned that at like as soon as I started going over an hour. I remember talking to a friend, um, who got me into trail running to begin with, and he was like, "Dude, you're out of energy. Like, you need it." Like, he's like, "You wonder why you're so tired right now." He's like, "What'd you eat for breakfast? Like, you burned that in the first 30 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
you need to start eating food."
Yeah.
And so I've always eaten on the trail over anything over 45 minutes, I'd fuel for.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's
yeah.
definitely, I mean, at least for me, it was not, the concept was kinda like that. At that point, before my diagnosis, I wasn't running more than an hour, but I couldn't even dream about eating the way I do now before going for a run. And when I say the way I do now, it's like I eat a lot of light stuff. It's like fruit and gels. So it's just like it's
Mhm.
either fruit, gels, or goo. So it's not like I'm eating a whole buffet right before running, but it is to the point of like, what did you have earlier for breakfast? If you're
Yeah.
running in the middle of the day, or that if you're running first thing in the morning, what did you have the night prior? Because that is going to be your fuel source as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
What it feel? I mean, what was your mental state being so newly diagnosed, your life thrown in that whirlwind, but then during the 50K, but more specifically towards the end when you were thinking to yourself that you could actually complete the 50K?
mhm. I remember I was very emotional right when I passed the marathon mark.
Okay.
There was, like, something about, like, "Oh, wow, there we go." Like, there it went,
Yeah.
you know,
And it's
and
not
it
like this is
feels good.
uncharted territory because you haven't even ran a marathon. So this was the
Right.
whole thing was uncharted.
Yeah, and I remember at that and I felt good still. Like, I still had some in the tank, and I remember pretty specifically, like, there was, like, a stretch at probably mile, like, 28
Yeah.
that was this longer downhill section, and I absolutely bombed down this downhill. Like, I hit it so hard, and it
Yeah.
was just such a phenomenal feeling where you're just hopping around, and it was just like, "All right, like, I'm doing this, like, this
Yeah.
is happening
At
right
that
now."
point, you're so close that
Yep,
just nothing's gonna stop you.
yep, and so I really it's wild to me looking back at that, um, I didn't have any there was no point during the race where I was like, "I can't do this."
Yeah.
I didn't have
Right.
that enter my brain once, which is interesting because it's happened several times on the other runs I've done that
Yeah.
I've reached that
I
spot.
would say
I
almost
just
like too glorious of a situation, and you're trying
yeah,
to repeat it.
but I think part of that is that I was still honeymooning and my body was probably, like, still
Yeah,
in
I
good shape, like, I
what
hadn't really given up, you know?
if you can remember, do you recall what your blood sugar was doing? Was it still roller coaster? I say, was it roller coastering at all? Like going up and down, up and down, up and down, or was it
No, it
steady?
was
How
solid.
Okay.
It was solid, and I did actually did this after the last race that I just did. I went through and pulled all my old graphs,
Yeah.
um, and looked at what it was doing at Oil Creek, and it was in range the whole time, like, totally in range, totally flat the whole time, like, it was just singing. It was
And it's
perfect.
crazy when you now know more of this condition, if you live for it with a longer period of time, and then you look back at that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that
and I
probably
think
sets the stage for how you handle this condition.
and quite frankly, like, the Heiner so I just did Heiner 50K in April,
Yeah.
which is another 50K in North Central PA that's just real it was really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And granted, like, that's a harder course, but I feel like if what happened at Heiner happened to me at Oil Creek, I don't know if I'm gonna finish Oil Creek, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if that same like, I went sky high at Heiner in
Yeah.
the first hour, and I stayed like, I pegged my meter, it was at 400 for, like, 3 hours, and I look back at that and I'm like, "Man, if that happens in the first hour of Oil Creek, there's no like, I'm probably stopping." Like, I'm probably like, "This is dangerous.
How
I gotta stop."
Yeah, how do you think that would affect your viewpoint of just running in general post? 'Cause, I mean, it's
Yeah.
almost like a good Oil Creek race sets you up to continue to be like, "I
Yeah.
can do this with this condition." If it was the opposite, I can imagine that the opposite might be true.
So, yes,
Yeah,
but I am so determined that, like, so flash forward to the next race I do, which is
yeah,
Cooper's Rock. So I do Cooper's Rock, which is in Morgantown in West Virginia, so south of Pittsburgh. Another really hilly, just a really rocky, brutal course. I mean, that's PA and Appalachia in general. But so I do that. Um, m- I do 10 miles on that. So this is a 50K.
yeah,
The first 10-mile loop brought you back to the parking lot where
okay,
like the first aid station was at the starting parking lot.
yeah,
And at mile like 8, my sensor drops like a rock and reads all caps low, which
yeah,
I had never seen before. I'd never seen the low,
yeah,
right? Ever. And but this was 6 months after diagnosis, right? This was
yeah,
April of 2024. I'd been diagnosed for 5, 6 months, right?
yeah,
So I was still new. I go all low. It had rained on us like hell. So I was soaking wet. The sensor, I think, got confused, quite frankly, because my skin got really cold.
mhm,
And I think it threw the sensor for a loop. But then so this was a G6, and it did I don't have good quality data. I got to take a break for 3
so right
hours, come
into
back.
error mode. Yeah,
Yep. And so I go into error mode and I'm like, crap. And but I'm back at the car.
yeah,
So I'm like, I'll check my blood sugar with some finger strips. We'll see where I'm
yeah,
at. I go to take a blood sugar reading. My fingers are all freezing cold. I can't get any blood out of them.
yeah,
I didn't even have enough test strips. I had like 5 test strips on me,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
also stupid in hindsight. Like I totally missed that. Um,
But at this
so I
point,
can't.
you didn't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, technology is amazing, but it's still technology and it will have its faults. But as a type 1, you don't know that because you've designed six months of life with type 1 totally reliant. And I was very similar. I was completely reliant until I realized that you couldn't be reliant.
Mhm.
And again, not to deter the technology. Technology is amazing and we've come so far, but it isn't foolproof yet. And you almost need plan A and plan B for glucose management and blood
Yep,
sugar
that's
management.
exactly right. Yeah, and I hadn't been through enough rinse repeats with sensors to have experienced that.
Yeah.
You know, so I go to put another sensor on, like recognizing there's a 2-hour startup, but like whatever, maybe I'll walk for a couple hours
Mm,
and finish the race. But I'm so sweaty, I go and put that sensor on, it falls right off.
yeah.
And like I looked at my buddy who flew in from California for the race and was like, it's not happening today, pal. Like, I can't. I'm right at the car. Like,
Yeah.
this is fortuitous. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do this. This is irresponsible. So I didn't finish Cooper's Rock. Um, and I came home that night from Cooper's Rock and signed up for the Laurel Highlands 50K that night, which was
Yeah.
2 weeks later or
Amazing.
3 weeks.
It's instantly like, what's next?
Instantly, I was like, no, I'm not. That's not how this is going to go for me.
Yeah.
And immediately was like, what am I going to do at Laurel Highlands to prevent that from happening next time? And
Well,
so,
it is truly is your failures will help teach you. And
yeah,
how important do you think that is? How okay, so now kind of reversing the question of like if this happened to you on the first race, it would scare you, but now it's happened to you on the second race. How important was that failure to then teach you for
oh,
your next running leg of your running career?
it was huge,
Yeah.
right? Because I think so. It showed me a couple things, right? And this is something I wanted to talk about, which is it's a bit of a contrast with running ultras with diabetes.
Mhm.
When you go into that marathon mode, that ultra mode, you train your brain to say, don't listen when your body tells you to stop,
Yeah.
right? Like you
Yeah.
have to get to that point because your body's going to tell you, don't do this. This isn't comfortable. You should stop running right now. But you need to like not listen to that voice and power through. But with diabetes, there's going to be times that that voice is like, no, Adam, your sensor's not working. You don't have any test strips on you. Like, you don't know your blood sugar. Like, this is really dangerous. You need to listen now. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
it's this fascinating contrast of know when to listen and know when to not and
Yeah.
ignore.
Yeah.
Um, And so I learned that I could listen to the no in the right scenario at Cooper's Rock, right?
Yeah.
And
And then
figure
you do
out,
that threshold.
yep. Um, but then I started wearing backup CGMs because it fell off. And
Yep.
so I wore a Libre 3 in tandem with the G6 for the
Yep.
next 50K. And that worked like a dream for Laurel Islands. That was a great race. I loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
No,
it worked
that's
out well.
really important because I mean, to your point, so I'll just give a personal experience of sometimes I'm running and I'm almost predicting the cliff, so to say, of my blood sugar dropping. And I'm just like, get to mile 7, for example, get to mile 7, I'm on like 6.3. And it's just like, there's a significant time that if I am ahead of it, I am lower. Say the CGM says I'm at like 115, I could be at 70 at that point. So getting to 7 means I could go from 70 to 50, depending how fast I'm
Yeah.
dropping. So there is almost, and it takes time, and I'm sure you can attest to this, of like, okay, if you stop now at 6.5 instead of 7, you check where you're at and you have sugar and like you wait 2 to 3, 4 minutes, your race isn't over or your
Yeah.
run isn't over. And then you don't get to that scary low if you just take kind of like, as Mark Brackett would put it, a meta moment, and just like acknowledge that if you are preventative in your decision making, it'll allow you to continue on and not get to a dangerous situation.
Yeah. Yep. And that's hard because when you start going low, you don't think as clearly.
Yeah.
And that can be a barrier to making that right decision of like, no, I'm going to stop for a minute and I'm going to eat something,
Yeah.
even though it's where I want to stop and eat something. But this is the right thing to do right now.
Yeah, I get frustrated totally. I'm like, "Nah, you can't." Like, in my mind, I'm like, "Prove to yourself that you can handle diabetes by getting to mile 7," and I'm so hard on myself, but I'm like,
Yeah.
it's the way your mind thinks when you're dropping and when your blood sugar is kinda lowering. It takes a lot of discipline to manage this correctly while on the run. Walk me through what the next step, so what have you been doing since? First off, how many 50Ks have you done in total?
Um, so since diagnosis, I've run 7 50Ks or 6 50Ks and
Yeah.
1 60K,
Yeah.
where I made a wrong turn and ran more than that. So, um, I ran further than anybody on the 60K course that day,
That's
because I missed a turn.
and
Um,
how long, I'm gonna do some math here, how long is a 60K?
so I ran 37 miles that day.
That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
At that point, you might
Yep.
as well, ran 3 more to make it a 40
Yeah.
miler.
That was the first time I ever cried on the trail.
Okay.
That absolutely broke me
Yeah.
of missing the turn, and it didn't break me when I missed the turn. It broke me like 4 miles later or something when I was like,
When you
I
realized
just
you
don't.
had to go back and redo the
Yeah.
course.
Um, but I learned on that course that I couldn't just eat sugar for that long
Mhm.
either, and that I needed to mix proteins in with my food. And that course, that race was really tough because the aid stations didn't have any just pure protein available.
Yeah.
It was
Did you
only
bring your own?
sugar. No, I didn't have any with me. And so there's another lesson,
Yeah.
right? There's like a big do is like I carry pure protein with me in the form of like those like cheese crisps. Have you ever seen
Yep,
those? They
yep,
sell them at
yep,
like Trader Joe's, or
yep.
I think Costco has them sometimes.
Because I mean,
Or
that's
like,
that's the push and pull is, like, you need that with you, but you're also running and you don't want an excessive amount of weight on you.
yeah. But the cheese crisps are amazing because they weigh
They're
nothing,
yeah,
you
yep,
know? So I'll carry that, and that's pure
and
protein,
for
and
you
that helps.
specifically, what is the importance of carrying protein? What do
It
you find?
smooths out it smooths out the spikes and the drops for
Okay,
me.
yeah,
And so I found that when I was when I was doing that race, I would go, if I took on a lot of sugar at one of those aid stations to try to fuel, I would go high, and then my pump would start to give me a little bit of insulin, and my sensitivity it was through the roof after 7 hours
Yeah.
on the trail,
Yeah.
and then I would drop like a rock, and I was like, "I need fuel that's, like, gonna drag me out. I need some
Yep.
fat, I need some protein to drag it out," and I didn't have that with me. The previous races I had done, those aid stations were better stocked, and they had
Yep.
that, and this one didn't. Like, I remember I was like, "Do you guys have any cheese?" And they were like, "We've got the cheese slices that are in, like, the plastic," and I'm like, "Oh my god, like, this is awful."
You're like, great. So,
Um,
in that case, it didn't slow down the digestion to spread out the glucose.
yep,
I kinda wanna call it the glucose pump into your bloodstream. We think of the
yes, yeah,
insulin pump pumping insulin into your bloodstream, but if when you eat glucose, protein can slow down that digestion, so it goes from your stomach into your bloodstream over a slower period of
yep,
time, or your
exactly.
intestine to get
Yep.
specific,
And
but
so, like, I rode the roller coaster for, like, the last 3 hours of that race where it was just sky high and then dropping like a rock, and
yeah.
I wanna say for the last, like, hour and a half of the race, I didn't fuel. I just ran because I it was too frustrating. So,
When let's double click on the frustration and the mental aspect of it, and more so the fortitude aspect of it. When you come across a situation like that, what do you tell yourself to continue on? Um, it's very, I want to say this in a, like, I want to ask this in a way of it's reflective of just living life with type 1 diabetes, and those who aren't running ultras are still going to have bad type days with type 1 diabetes. So it's kind of like your answer here may help somebody to think about how do they continue on just waking up another day with type 1.
I think during that race I didn't have the same, I'll call it like maturity that I do
Yeah.
today. I
Yeah.
think when that was happening to me, and that's probably what broke me a little bit during that race, it was so frustrating to have to deal with that in that moment. And I remember being like pretty angry about the situation, thinking
Yeah.
like nobody else out here is dealing with this except for me,
Yeah.
you know? Um, but I think now I've reflected on that and given myself some tools to be able to better handle those situations when they do come up though.
Yeah.
Um, Remembering the why. Why are you out here? Like, why are you doing this in the first place? And having that compartmentalized in your brain so that you can remind yourself why you're doing this. You know, what's the real motivation for you? And that's a big strategy with any ultras or any real
Yeah.
distance race,
Yep.
right? Is remembering your motivation for doing it in the first place. Um,
Yeah. Because either
I
way,
would
you'll
say,
always remember. You'll remember
yeah,
the outcome of the race on race day.
yeah. But for me, a big reason why is because not everybody can. And
Yeah.
I do this for people who aren't able to do it, quite frankly. And I often reflect on people in my life that can't do things like this. Um, and I'm in a position to be able to do it. And so I want to experience it. And that's a big motivator for me.
Yeah. Astonishing and truly inspirational paradigm shift in perspective, because you're with a even with a condition like type 1, we still have the ability to do stuff like
Mhm.
this.
Yep, that's right.
And that almost in itself is a testament to be like, not to say that it's not a testament for fully pancreas functioning people to complete ultras, but it's almost like, hey, if humanity can still achieve these milestones learning with a chronic condition. I mean, to me, that's the essence of evolution at that point. But it also is so motivational to others out there to overcome whatever challenge they're
Mhm.
facing,
Yep.
or at least be respectful to those who actually want to do something like this but can't
Yeah, that's
for
right. And
whatever
I
reason.
think there's a lot of people that and I think that there's probably people that think that they can't do something like this, and
Yeah.
they can. We can
Yeah,
all
and
do
when
it.
I say
It's just
can, I definitely mean those who physically cannot
that's
by whatever
and
means,
that's
if it's an
exactly what I'm referring
amputation
to.
or yeah,
That's exactly what am referring to too, is people who physically just cannot do it for whatever
yeah.
reason, you know?
And then you're the motivation for people who think they can and actually can.
That's right, and when I have a conversation with someone and they go, "I could never do that," and I'm like, "Yes, you could, actually, and if like,
Yeah,
don't doubt yourself, like, you're capable of much more than you would ever give yourself credit for." and all of the things that I've been able to accomplish are a testament to that. I never thought that I'd be doing this at this stage of my life ever. Never.
Yeah.
So, um,
Well, first off,
yeah,
thank you for doing it. Second off, I mean that it truly is a huge part of the mission of what we're doing here is to get the stories out, but education out, because I think it's just crucial for more people to be doing stuff like this.
yeah, I feel passionately about it, and that's why I like to share my story, right? Is to tell
Yeah.
people that you can push yourself beyond the voices that tell you to stop sometimes,
Yep.
right? Um, I mean, even I was talking to my daughter who's 10, and she plays soccer and she's running around, and I was like, your body is going to tell you to, it's the Goggins thing, right? Like your body is
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
tell you to stop running, and you don't have to listen to it, man. Like just power through it, girl. Like you could
Yeah.
smoke those other kids on the field if you just don't listen to the thing that tells you to stop. And like I'll see
Yeah.
her after a game,
Well, and the amazing part of that to kind of build off that is your body will then adapt, and your
yeah,
threshold for it telling you to stop will only continue to grow
yeah, that's exactly
within
right.
reason.
And yeah, but I'll like talk to her after the game, like, hey, did you listen or not? You know, and she's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
like, did you listen to the voices or not? Like, did you keep going or what? So
Raising a mini Goggins.
I don't know, maybe I don't know if I want that. Uh,
Yeah.
I'll never see her again. She'll be gone. Um, yeah. So I think those are, I don't know. That's how I was able to get through some of those really tough races, tough
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really awesome. What are you doing now? So talk to me a little bit about your most recent race, but then also what might be in the future for you.
So I think one thing I'll point out is that I picked up a running coach a year ago because I
Okay.
felt like I had kind of exhausted what I felt like I could. I felt like a running coach was a better accountability buddy than my own
Okay.
self.
Yep. Yep.
And so I picked up a phenomenal running coach who's super local and amazing human being. Um, and so that's really helped me to, I would say, narrow my focus where I go from here. And so I've taken more of a focus on fueling, and like I'm much more prescribed with carb ratios now, and
Mm.
that's led me to do more pump control and do manual basal rates with
Okay.
specific carb to basal ratios during the race,
Yeah.
which
So
is
you got a more it's a systematic approach at this point.
correct. And I'm at a
Yeah.
honeymoon, and so I don't think I could have done
Yeah.
that at Oil Creek 3 years ago, but now I have
Yeah.
to, right? And so
Yeah. Yep.
that's been a
Took
big
you to that
shift that I've taken.
transition to
Yeah,
learn. Mhm.
that's right, and that's been in the last 12 months. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's helped me to feel better and more confident during some of the races, and
Yeah.
be in a position to push myself harder during those races too, right? Where I don't think that I had that same, like, I couldn't like hit a flat in the early race days and feel comfortable going and running an 8-minute mile on it or something like that, or a 7-minute
Mhm.
mile on like a really hard section. But now the focus has shifted to like trying to do more speed work, and be more competitive with what I'm capable of for a race. Even like I'm not going to
Yeah.
podium these things. Um, and
Yeah.
so I've worked on more speed work in the last 6 months, I'd say, to try to
Yeah.
get faster, which has been a really awesome shift from just I'm just going to run forever to
Yeah.
like no, you know what I mean? Like I think a lot of
Yeah.
people, and there's nothing against this, right? A lot of people get to the 50K distance and they're like, okay, 50K, 50 mile, 100K, 100 mile. Like they
Yeah.
just go
Yeah.
straight across it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, I find that
And
there's 2 ends of people who run the distance and wanna continue to go the distance, and people who run the distance and realize they can run that distance faster.
right. And I've enjoyed doing speed work, and
Yeah.
that's been a nice
Did you
pivot
find
for
there
me.
was a difference with how your blood sugars reacted to the I can imagine with the speed work, your heart rate was different, and then either like I find for me, if I go, my heart rate goes, if I'm sprinting, for example, my heart rate goes above 160 into 170 and the stress hormones release, my blood glucose is gonna, the levels are gonna react totally differently than if I was running with a heart rate of like 145 at a steady, slow pace.
Yeah, so I remember hearing that in your one podcast, I think with
Yeah.
Chris. Um, I don't have that experience at all.
Okay.
I can peg my heart rate and get it like well, like basically like zone 5, like I'm off the
Yeah.
charts, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't do anything to my blood sugar.
Interesting.
Yep. And that's where diabetes is such a freaking spectrum. Like
Yeah.
it's
No,
wild how
it really
everybody
is.
is off
That's what
different.
makes it different for everybody.
Yep. It's wild to me that it's such a spectrum disease that you and I could
Yeah.
be late diagnoses, right?
Mhm.
Very similar situations. Although you were young, I mean, you were 21 when you were
Yeah,
diagnosed.
I say late, but it's very young and I hope a very
Yeah.
long life, so it's
But you were an adult in all respects. You
yeah,
weren't a child.
yep,
Like your pancreas was fully developed when you
yeah,
got it.
yep,
Um, I think there's a lot of difference if you're diagnosed at 3 when your pancreas is still
completely, and I
developing.
mean,
Right?
in theory, yeah, the brain does stop developing at 25, between 25 and 26, so I had a couple more
Yeah.
years to go, but I mean, I was able to vote, and it was a week after I was legally allowed. I don't drink anymore, but it was a week after I was legally allowed to drink, so
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
pretty much an adult and by societal standards at that
Right.
point.
But so I'm really fortunate. The speed work, I haven't found it to be really all that much different for my fueling strategy
That's
than
good news.
yeah. Yep. And I would say the only thing I do see is I see more of a post-run spike on the speed work than I
Okay.
do on a longer run. Yeah.
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 That could be related to your your stress hormone release catching up after the fact,
Yeah.
or being released at a delayed pace.
Yeah.
Could be a number of factors, but I'm just
That's where yeah,
theorizing.
yeah, it's like you're not gonna actually get an answer to that thing
No,
unless I
no,
know. Yeah. Yeah. So I've been
that's really
working on speed work. Yeah, I've been working on speed work and I'm gonna do a road half this summer. And then I'm going back to Oil Creek and I'm gonna do the 25K at Oil Creek and see how fast I can do it.
nice,
So in the
nice,
fall.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's next for me.
Now, reverting to the 50K, as you know, I'm one of those crazy individuals who wants to continue the mileage because I've had my fair share with speed and I have had the opposite experience of you. It was just miserable with my blood sugar. And I found that I just, one, wasn't built for speed, but I could be using that as an excuse because I could always design myself to be faster. But two, just didn't enjoy the effects that it was having. And I
Yeah.
wanted to go longer. You know, because I told you before that I'm training for a 50 miler, but with the 50 miler training, it includes a 50K um, in August. So we're like about a month or two out. What advice would you give me specifically as I'm about to approach this 50K for the first? And I've ran 2 marathons. By the time of the 50K, I would have hopefully ran 3 marathons. So what kind of advice would you give me?
Mm. Well, okay, I wanna back to what you said of not being built for speed.
Yeah.
I am not built for speed at all. And I always would have told myself
That's the point. If I applied myself and I've more mentally wanted it, I could have adjusted myself to be okay with the speed, but I just hated it.
yeah. Yeah, and the diabetes challenges are a whole nother ballgame, right? But I
Yeah,
used to tell
yeah.
myself that same question, like, I got these short, stumpy legs, like, I'm short, I'm 5'5", like 5'6" on a good day, like, I'm not built for this, but I'm enjoying challenging myself there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, which is
so
awesome.
I wanted to just, yeah, float that out there.
Yeah, yeah,
Advice for the first 50K, um well, depending on what your fueling strategy is, there's a lot of little things that I've done to nudge myself to be better for a 50K. I will point out that the mixes, like if you're doing like specific carb ratios for your longer run,
yeah.
I would not drink the mixes that they've got at the aid stations because
Okay.
it's going to be so inconsistent for how much
Yeah.
carbs are in it. They're
Yep.
not they're not good at mixing it. So I usually carry my own mix with me,
Yep.
um, which is a pain in the butt, but it is what it is.
It is. Yeah.
Uh,
No, and good to know. And I found that for most races, and it's different because this is longer, so I can't rely on a crew as much. But I've definitely, yeah, I haven't, and I've been training carrying stuff with me because I know not to be reliant on aid stations,
yeah,
especially with. I just almost prefer being the mad scientist of having the exact amount of carbs I know with
right.
me.
So yeah, so I would do that. I use Tailwind. It's a great. I
Yeah.
really have. It's worked well for me. But I also carry. So I carry a liter of Tailwind, like in
Okay.
200 ml, 50,
Yeah.
two 500 ml flasks. But then I also carry a liter and a half of water because I've
Okay.
had some
Yeah.
experiences, especially in the summer. If you get
Yeah.
dehydrated and your blood sugar's up, you're
Yeah.
spiraling, man. You're out. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
over if you don't have water with you because you can't drink the
Yeah.
carb mix.
Yeah.
And so I carry 2.5 liters of fluid with me.
And
One and
then
a half
never
of
mind the bonk. You're gonna bonk because you get double dehydrated with high blood sugar.
That's right. So it's brutal. So I would say get used to carrying a lot
Good
of
to
weight
know.
on. Yeah. That's
Okay.
I think that's a big piece of advice. And um then you've got flexibility. If anything comes up, right? You're good.
Yeah.
Um I mean other like little things like I don't know, the syringes that I've carried, the markings get worn off. Like, so if your pump falls off, if your pump site falls off and you need to like manually dose, I've
Yep.
like started taping my syringes with like scotch tape to prevent the markings from rubbing off. I'm paranoid that like when I need to give myself a half a unit, I'm not going to be able to read like the single mark on it, you know?
Yep.
So I think it's little things like that that you pick
Yeah.
up over a lot of cycles, you know? Let's see.
It's
I don't
definitely
know, run.
interesting coming from somebody who is like my background is either running road races or doing like backcountry trips. So it's like I'm used to carrying a lot on my back, but I'm not used to running with that weight. I'm used to going
Yeah.
extremely slow. So it's
I
definitely
would
been a
yeah.
challenge.
I would train every single run you do with the pack.
Yeah,
I would
that's
train
good.
every single run you do with the pack because it's gonna be things like this cord is in my way and I don't like how this fits when I get sweaty or like
Yeah.
you've really gotta train exactly as the race is gonna go, and I think there's a lot of people who probably put their gear on for the first time on race day. I would
Yeah.
I would train every race, and I would also I think a lot of people, um, I don't know I don't know if you've done this before, but if it's gonna rain, you're like, I'm gonna wait till that shower passes, and then I'm gonna do my run."
Run through it. I love that
You
advice. Run
have
through
to,
the bad
right?
weather. Yeah.
You have to, right? Because and, like, I've
Yep.
been on trail runs with friends, and it's like, it's snowing or hailing,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yep.
"This is insane," but guess what? Like, when it starts raining on race day, you're ready for it. It's no big deal,
Yeah.
you know? You've
Yep.
done it. You know what
Yep.
your feet are gonna do when they get soaking wet or whatever it may be. Um, so I would say try to do race day every day when you're training, and I would say, like, I've done, like I'll do, like, a late night run, like, an evening run, and then I'll
Yep.
do a first thing in the morning run too,
Okay. So kinda like a split it. Yeah.
the next day,
Yeah.
right? So that, like, you wake up in the morning, you're like, "Oh my god, I'm dragging," but get out there and run and
Yep.
teach your body how to run on tired legs. Um, and I think the other thing that's like, your marathon times are probably pretty good because 'cause they're road marathons.
Yeah.
Um,
The
get
under
used to
4 hours. It was 3 hours and 52 and then 3 hours and 47 minutes.
yeah. So you're gonna be out there for a lot longer, and so
Yeah.
your fueling strategy has gotta be hard at the beginning, like, you gotta go big at the beginning, or else you're gonna bonk on the back half.
Good to know.
That's I've seen that happen to a lot of people, and so I would
Yeah.
go hard on food at the beginning of the race. Yeah.
Oh, I love to eat. And
Yeah,
as we've
there you go.
discussed, I'm
Yeah,
totally
it's
okay with
beautiful.
eating and then running,
Yeah.
and you
Mhm.
get used to it. Thank you for that advice. I'm definitely gonna apply all of that. If I haven't already applied it, I'm definitely going to
Yeah.
apply it.
Yeah.
Now next question, and I'll have this be our final question today of piggybacking off the asking for advice. If you were to come across, say, let's just paint the scenario of you are your friend that you met in the camp in West Virginia, and you come across somebody who is exactly like you and just recently got diagnosed a couple weeks later. Even if you're looking into a mirror at yourself, I love asking this question. What would you tell yourself just about life in general? Like, yes, about type 1, but just an overall encompassing thing of like about life in general. What kind of advice or just what would you tell yourself or that person?
Uh, give yourself some grace. You deserve a lot more grace than you've given yourself, and it's and you said it. You pointed out that you're hard on yourself, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, give yourself a break here and there, right? It's okay. It's okay to do that. Um, I think that's something that sets you up to, um, I don't know, not be so hard on yourself when it doesn't go well. It doesn't go the
Yeah.
way you want, right?
No, it's
Because
like powerful, and you could even be told that and still be hard on yourself. So it's like you got to keep reminding yourself that.
yeah, and I think, and I say give yourself grace because it's like there's going to be times that diabetes is going to stop you dead in your tracks from doing exactly what you want to do in that moment, right? Like
Yeah.
you may have to walk in a training run because your blood sugar is too low. Give
Yeah.
yourself a little bit of grace on that. It's okay, right? It doesn't always
Yeah.
go the way you want. It's all right. But look back at what happened and be honest with yourself as to what you could have done differently to have prevented that from happening, right? And you talked about this at the beginning of the podcast, right? Use every failure as the opportunity to learn from it, right? Don't
Yeah.
beat yourself up over why it went wrong. You know, give yourself a break, give yourself that grace, and study it and learn from it, right? Because there's learning opportunities in every failure.
100%. And that even extends beyond type 1 diabetes. That's just with everything you do in life. So it's
Yeah, it's that has nothing to do with running. That has to do
yeah.
with bedtime routine with the kids on a Tuesday
Yeah.
night, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's everything. It doesn't go the
or
way you
or if
want.
you're Drake May listening right now, ready for another Super Bowl run. I mean,
Yeah, right.
it's really stuff you could apply to anything.
It's anything, right? And I think
Yeah.
I've always been really hard on myself. So I think it was, I was given that advice early on. And so I feel that I haven't followed it enough,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would
No,
tell
no, that's
myself
the
that
thing,
when
like, we
I'm
never
making the
follow the
move.
advice that we give, but
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. No,
That's what I would say.
to your point, it's like, I do agree, I am extremely hard on myself, and I'm not shy at sharing that fact that I'm hard on myself because I acknowledge that even as we have 2 different stories, I need to apply that advice to me too, and it's constantly. It's like I constantly gotta remind myself to give myself grace, and it's almost like sometimes I have a reset and I forget to give myself grace, and that's when, like, something pops in my mind. It's like, "Calm down. You know you didn't ask for this condition," and it's just like, "It's okay. It's gonna act whatever it is today for whatever amount of reasons," and it's just like, just telling yourself it's okay is a huge relief. It almost lifts just a little if it can lift a little bit of pressure off of you, then that's good.
Yeah, and I think in that same moment, you have to remind yourself that it's really temporary in the grand scheme of things, you know? Like, that the high or the low isn't gonna last for a month. This is
Yeah,
temporary, and you know
yeah,
how to handle it because you've handled it before, so this is no different, like, relax, it's not permanent, this isn't your life right now, it's your life this moment, but it's not
mhm,
gonna be forever, it's gonna be for 30 minutes or an hour,
yeah,
like, you'll get over it,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So,
And bringing this back full circle, it's almost like your body will always adapt and learn how to live with the circumstances that you're given. So, and it goes back to you can even take the learning from failure to that point of like every experience that you have is just fuel for your next experience.
Yeah. You have to. You're going forward. There's no other way to go. Like, what are you gonna
Yep.
do?
Yeah.
Just
Without Benjamin Button.
yeah, right? Like, you're going forward. It's no like, you have
Yeah.
to adapt. You have to figure out how to do this, you know? Yeah.
Well, Adam, I mean, our conversation is fully action packed with a bunch of actionable items, but also the storyteller inside of me is just like, this would be an awesome movie, but is just like extremely grateful for you going so deep into the details of your story, sharing with us not only what you did, like systematically, but also the emotions that you felt. So a massive thank you for everything that you shared with me today and with our audience.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It's been a great conversation. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Adam, for sharing your insights with us today. Zero excuses, just ruthless execution. Through learning from failures and successes. Take his blueprint and lock in your discipline. For all our content, please visit t1determined.net. Connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, and X at T1D_endurance, and on Facebook and YouTube at T1Determined. Please also like and subscribe, and you can leave up to a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Until next time, keep pushing your limits. I hope this helps. Stay strong, stay determined. T1 Determined.